Hi, I'm CJ Altenberg with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We appreciate you tuning in. If you are in the market for a new air ride cattle trailer, we've got a loaded up 30-footer sitting behind me. This is a 2024 Cimarron Stierwalt Signature Series. Before we get into this and show you all the cool options on this trailer, let's go ahead and take a look at the drawing. I'll show you how the trailer lays out. Like I mentioned, 30 foot on the floor, 8 foot wide. That's standard on a Signature Series. And then this one's 6'4" tall. We don't need that extra height that we need on some of the horse trailers, on these low pro, cattle trailers. We just don't need to pull that extra height. And then we have a 6-foot front tack. So we have 6-foot front tack, 24 stall area. But again, that's just kind of the general layout of the trailer itself. A lot of these are very well optioned, but again, we like to put our own little twist on it. And a lot of that's based on what we build for a customer. If we do a custom build, we pay attention to it. We always look at new options. We always try to be creative and come up with new things for you as well. So on this, we'll walk you through it. I'll show you some standard items, and then from there, we'll show you some of the cool add-ons we've done. So on 24 models, if we just look at the nose, you're gonna have the polished stainless sheet on the nose. You have 3 marker lights up top there. That's now standard. We were doing that a lot on these trailers, a lot of our loaded up trainer trailers, living quarters. That's standard on 24 models moving forward. If you wanted to add a lighted sign to this, it could be done after the fact. It's a real simple process that Cimarron has. What we're gonna do is they'll drill a very small little hole on the nose, and they'll actually run the wiring up to those marker lights. It's handy, it's right there. And then it just sticks on, so you can customize it with your brand, your farm name. You can do different color options. That's a real simple add-on after the fact. If we look underneath the gooseneck, one thing you're gonna notice is this enclosure. So I think it gives the trailer a good finished look to it. I think it also helps from a wind resistance standpoint, from an aerodynamics. We're not catching air underneath the bottom of this gooseneck, wrapping around the truck itself. Rolls up really nice. Again, I think it gives a clean look to the trailer. But if you notice, normally this spare tire is located over here to the left. We located it over to the right underneath our battery box. That's gonna house a couple things. So we have a hydraulic jack, you probably noticed that, but what you're gonna get on that setup is you're gonna get this battery box, you're gonna get your battery, and then you're gonna get your battery disconnect over there. So we can kill all power to this trailer. Over to the right, as you're looking at it there, is gonna be your self-contained compressor for the air ride system itself. Very, very simple process. You turn it on, you roll it to the raised position, it picks up the trailer. You turn it off, you roll it to the lower, and there's a cable underneath to actually drain. You can see it's still holding a little bit of air. That's mainly just here in the tank itself, but I can reach underneath, pull that cable, and if we notice, the gauge is dropped. So you want to clear those lines each time you're using this trailer, because what we don't want is we don't want air to create condensation. That's going to create that moisture. You get into the cold months, we don't want it to freeze, crack a line, do damage to the system itself. That's just a real simple process to do there. It's nice to have the battery box up out of the way. And then again, spare tires located below that. We put expanded aluminum on the bottom there, so if you wanted to throw kind of some tools, other items underneath there, you can. We did these brackets here. If you wanted to set a portable generator in there, you can do that. If you're gonna try to, we do not recommend you running it with this down, just because of the heat, and plus you gotta exhaust it out. But that's where that can store. So if you get to a show and you're wanting to show off the trailer, you can roll this up, fire that up, and I'll show you the power package when we get inside. And then we put these big hooks over here. And the reason why we shifted the spare over and put those hooks there is we were just trying to come up with some different places for you to store some items. We understand you're gonna be hauling some big hoses, some big cords. Instead of having a place in the tack room to find those, you can actually just drape those right there. Those are their utility hooks. So this is a cast aluminum piece that's powder coated. Big gap between them, and they're really deep off the wall and tall. So again, we can hang hoses and big cords right here underneath there, just to try to find a place for it to stay. And then you have your single leg electric over hydraulic jack. Real simple. You push it up and down It does have a manual override, so if you do get in emergency situations, we can get it off the truck. When you roll this down, over here we got another switch, and we put a 16-inch awning light underneath here. So that way you can turn this guy on, it'll bounce off this diamond plate, the front of it, kind of light up the back of your truck. But more importantly, if you're having to do anything in this enclosure, you can actually have some light coverage right here. You have to think your cargo light of your truck's actually going to be blocked by the front of the nose of the trailer itself. This one here we did black sheeting, so it's more of the polished black. It really works in with the polished extrusion. As we kind of work through this and start shutting it up, you'll kind of see how that polish looks. So 6-foot front tack room. We've just noticed over the years we keep getting bigger and bigger tack rooms, especially with people showing off of it. What's really nice is with that hydraulic jack, and you load this guy up, you might have equipment for the barn, equipment for the show. So, you know, by having that hydraulic jack lifting it up and down, it makes a big difference. But as you can see, we've got a ramp going into the front tack room. So making loading items like your upright boxes, your fan carts, your blower carts, portable generators, if you're not going to store it up there, any of those other items we can put right up here, and we can go right up the side ramp rather than lifting it up and over. So on a side ramp, we need at least a 5-foot front tack room for the bracing, but on this one here, we did a 6-foot. You have head pads coming in. Since it's a lower profile trailer, you might bump your heads if you're not paying attention a little bit. It's nice to have those head pads. You don't think about it at the time, but when you hit your head, you'll greatly appreciate it. So we've got them on that door, especially coming in and out. If you notice while we're looking right there, you have this LED light. We have LED lights over both doors, one up in the gooseneck, but we did a switch right here as well. So there's one on the other side of the man door, but if you're loaded and you have equipment in here, this was feedback from customers saying, hey, my light switch is clear on the other side where my ramp's at, and I've got equipment stacked in front of it, so it's a little bit harder to get to. So we made it to where you can turn light switches on either way when you come into this tack room. Then right up here, you're gonna notice this storage area. So this right here, these brackets that are coming off the ceiling, you can put 4 24-inch fans motor down in here. You can slide them forward, keeps them off the actual deck itself, keeps them from bouncing around, keeps them nice and secure. One thing I always say is maybe keep your show sticks or an old one here, because you'll probably be able to grab the first two by their cages and motor, but then you can take your show stick, start grabbing cages and pulling them back towards you. It's a heavy UHMW plastic that they'll slide on, so they're really easy to slide as far as moving them back and forth. But again, have a place for those fans to actually live. Then we've got a fold down gate that's just gonna keep items from shifting and sliding back towards us. Over to the left, there's a plexiglass tray, so a storage for actually plexiglass for the stock sides that I'll show you when we get to the outside. There's that other LED light up in the nose. So we tried to get you lights throughout. Then we have a 30 amp breaker package and then a converter. So the converter's not plugged in right now, but all I have to do is there's a plug-in right ahead of that 30 amp breaker right there. So underneath the gooseneck, where I was showing you where that portable generator can live, you can plug a cord right into there, and we have power throughout this trailer. I'll show you when we get to the back. But if you plug that guy into that outlet right there, it'll convert and it'll charge up our 12-volt battery as well. So we're not running lights and those type of items just off of that, and it'll charge it up. Then you have a 18-inch boot box. We kind of only went partial way across. This is good for like a bench. You want to throw some smaller items in here so they're not bouncing around in transit. But again, use as a bench if you're showing off the trailer. If you need to hop up into the gooseneck area, it's a great little step there. We only did it partial because we wanted to be able to bring boxes in the side ramp, have you a little bit more room when you're bringing those items in. And then beyond that, on this gooseneck drop wall, if you notice, we have some airliner tracks sitting here. It's about 36 inches off the floor. And then there's also one back here on the partition wall. So that way you can go on to like Amazon, you can buy different hooks that'll attach in this, and you can slide them anywhere you want. So you can ratchet strap items down, keeping them in place where you want. Again, we wanted that little bit more room as you come in from the ramp. But we carpeted this entire partition wall, just if things do shift or slide around, rub up against the wall, it's not scuffing that up. And then you've got another 2 sets of those big utility hooks. So again, cords, hoses, any of those items you can put right there. Now I want you to notice this floor. So this is a gray rubber flooring. It's got that tread bright type pattern to it. It's got a lot of grip to it. But what's really cool is it's cut and it's sealed at the edges. So it's not like the rubber mats where items could still get underneath that actual mat itself. And then carpet on the floor, I'm not a fan of, because I feel like it holds a lot of odor, it holds stains over time. It just will never look the same after using it. So this was actually kind of an idea from a customer. We started putting this in, we put it on the gooseneck drop wall, but more importantly, it was for up in the deck. And we do this on these show trailers because we understand at times you might have some stuff with shavings on them, hay on it, so it would get embedded in that carpet. And this customer that built a Stierwalt, his wife said, I'm the one that crawls up there. I want it to be easy to clean. I want to just be able to sweep it, items together, and maybe just vacuum it up if I have to. But I don't want to be up there trying to get those little pieces, those fine pieces out of that carpet. So we've really started incorporating this throughout. We're starting to use this gray rubber floor in a lot of our horse trailers as well. But again, really well set up front tack room, a lot of room. Again, 6 foot up here, so you can put a lot of items in there. These ramps have a really heavy duty spring on the bottom, so as you pick them up, they actually want to kind of suck towards the trailer itself. These can lock. These will be the same locks on both ramps, and then also when we get over to the man door on the other side. And then we did a 16-inch awning light above each ramp over here on passenger side, so one going into the tack room, one going into the stall area. And then if you notice the button lights up on the top rail, we did those about every 4 foot, 3.5 foot, somewhere in there, depending on how the number it was that we actually built this trailer with, but that's about your spacing. So at night, this trailer really dresses up well. Those LEDs put off a lot of light, not a big power draw, but they do look sharp on this. Now, side ramp, if you notice, we shifted it back towards the axles a little bit. And again, customer feedback, some customers like it forward, some like it shifted back a little bit. If it's forward, it's harder to get air into that first stall over here. So if you notice, you know, obviously as we're driving forward, we're driving at high speeds. So we can shift this back, drop this down, and it's catching air more in the front stall and kind of forcing it back to the cattle where it'll naturally go as we're working towards it. You're gonna get this lower air gap. These are awesome. So big air gap. We used to do the plexiglass, we can still do that, but when you do the plexiglass, the way the extrusions lay out, you're gonna get a smaller air gap down low. To where if we do the fold down, you get a larger air gap, and it's a lot easier open and closing rather than pulling that plexiglass out, putting it up there in that storage tray. It's again, real simple to flip up and down. It's got these gas shocks on it, but a bigger air gap, getting airflow down, especially when you get to the other side when you're tying cattle. Chest floor on a calf is its radiator, try to keep them cool. I'll show you the roof vents. We can actually manipulate air down and out of the trailer with those. But this one here's got the ramp shifted back. So again, as you come in to the stall area, got another head pad coming in. So if you're leading calves on and off, you've got head padding at these side ramps. Makes a big difference, again, when you're getting in and out. Now, as we get into the stall area, I've got a gate, traveling gate, push forward. Over the years, we used to do one traveling gate, one fixed gate. And the fixed gate was 9.3 off the back, so you could put a blocking chute back there, like an 8-footer, and still have room to maneuver to set it down and shut your rear gate. But now, over the years, as we've been building these, everybody wants flexibility. So we'll do this with 2 traveling gates, so you can manipulate the stall size all you want. It does make a big difference if you're hauling maybe a cow-calf pair, maybe you got some young heifers, maybe you got a bull you're traveling with. Instead of wasting a giant stall with one head, now we can actually kind of shrink it down a little bit, make sure they're still comfortable, but not waste a lot of space. So this one here is actually shifted up against the wall. You've got the storage position to actually put it up against the wall and then use the other one. I'll open this gate to show you. We did a rubber kick mat on this front partition wall here. That way, just if a calf is up against it, maybe you're pulling some white calves or some lighter smoky calves, rub against that aluminum, they'll get those marks on them. So on this one here, this wall, they've actually got that rubber mat that they're going to be up against. If you notice, we did jail bars. So this is kind of an airflow design, these vertical bars. We can get a lot more airflow through this design than the old one where we just had the upper air gap, more of like a true stock trailer style look to the actual gate itself. But this one here, you know, the vertical bars, and we did it on the second one as well, but you've got that airflow. We put a couple hooks ahead of the door in case you have to tie a calf right here. When we shut the escape door, it's actually going to have the tie rail on it, high and low, right in this area, but I've got it open up out of the way. So again, you can tie calves down low, we can tie calves up high. This is between the two air gaps there. And again, on the traveling gate, it's just off this track, so it's really easy to do. I'll actually just show you. I'll show you on this back gate when we get, I'll get on the other side of it just so you can kind of see. I'll bring it forward to you. If you notice, 48-inch swings, no threshold, so we don't have any bar coming across here that we have to step over, or calves have to step over. They're elevated up off the floor a little bit more so you can bed really deep. These 48-inch swings, we kind of changed the way we were thinking because we used to hinge everything. You know, we're used to more older stock trailer styles where everything hinges off the passenger side. Well, we're bringing calves in off the side ramp and taking them off. So it made more sense to have these gates swing and hinge over on driver's side, so it's easier for you to manipulate walking calves on and off this rather than going the other way. But all you have to do is just break them loose. As you can see, anywhere along this track I can set this gate. So if I want to put it here, I can do that. If I want to get it right at the edge of the wheel well on the larger posts, where we're going to actually have like wheel well frames, door frames, those will have notches just because it is a larger post. But again, as you can see, very easy to operate. If you are bedded really deep and you're moving these, what's nice is since they come off the ceiling, you can kind of tip them one way or the other to work around that. You know, some other ones come off the side rails, so you kind of have to be exactly square on them, and you'll kind of get them almost in a bind at times where you got to back them off. A little bit harder. These flow really, really well, really easy if we're looking at this in here. On the wheel wells, we taper these. We taper them up and then we taper the corners. We kept doing that to all of our trailers, so Cimarron just went in and made it standard on the Signature Series. That makes a big difference. We don't like 90-degree angles, so they did a good job on that. You have rubber on the floor. Like I mentioned, going into the tack room, light switches. We have light switches right here for stall area, and this side, load lights. So if I just want to hop in this side, I can just flip these on rather than going to the back corner to turn those lights on. And then if you look in the top rail with those lights, you're going to notice we have some outlets. So again, that's where that 30 amp breaker package comes into play. We've got outlets here in the stall. We've got multiple down the passenger side, and then we've got one at the back corner of the left corner of driver's side. But if you're showing off these trailers, you've got power, you want to add some fans, different things like that, you can do that right here in this trailer. Now, the height of the trailer, like I mentioned, is only 6'4". So the very first one that Kurt started pulling was 6'8". Then he found out this insulated roof makes so much of a difference. We were trying to get heat away from cattle. And he found out, and we all realized, that we don't need that extra height if we don't need it, because this insulated roof keeps this stall area about 20% cooler than aluminum sheeted roofs. So again, 20% cooler. So when we're hauling calves in the summer months, believe me, these roofs make a world of difference on what this temperature is like and temperature control in the stall area by having that. And it's really strong too. It'll take substantial hail. It's a 1/2 inch thick, honeycomb design. It's reinforced, has an R3 thermal value up there. So again, it makes a big difference for temperature. And then there's our 2-way roof vents. We can open them to grab air and force it down. We can open them in the winter months to release air. You can open some up to grab, open some up to release, and you create an airflow almost like a wind tunnel through here. If at times you step into these trailers and the calves' backs are covered in shavings, you have too much airflow. You might have to dial some stuff down. Maybe you have to shut some vents a little bit more. It can happen, and we've heard those stories where people do have to manipulate those. Some guys will run in the summertime with the plexiglass in the uppers, having their lowers opened up because of the insulated roof, the 2-way roof vents, because the tinted plexiglass will keep the sun off of calves and traveling. But that's completely up to you if you want to take those uppers out. Sometimes they'll just take maybe butt side or head side. The nice thing is you have the flexibility to do whatever you want. And then again, these guys here will travel. We run that track about 3 foot off the back. So you have a lot of flexibility with having the 2 traveling gates. That's the only way we build them nowadays, just so you have that flexibility. Again, as the ramp goes up, it just sucks towards the trailer. Again, we can lock these. You've got tie rails high and low. As we work into the axles, you got to kind of work around them a little bit. But you've got the ability to tie calves out, tie them down low. If you want to go over the wheel wells, Cimarron does build a bracket that actually attaches to each one, and it goes over those wheel wells so you're not losing that. But again, the plexiglass, it's really simple to open and close. You can leave in the morning time when it's cool with them up. Starts warming up, you can stop really quick and then drop them down. On your upper plexiglass, you have a groove cut 4 foot off of where that ramp is, and we can slide these out. If you've watched our videos before, I'll say this, and believe me, it does make a big difference on just the hassle and time and just frustration level. If you take out this passenger lower, tape it all together with like a masking tape or a painter's tape so it's not real sticky, right on there with a Sharpie. Passenger side lower, do the same for the upper, do the same for the other side. So when you go to put these back in, it will save you so much time. I mean, this trailer here, we've had some trades come in where I have to put plexiglass back in. It's a ½ hour minimum, because you have to figure out what piece goes where. If nothing's labeled, it's just a mess. I mean, we have different lengths as far as the plexiglass on each side, because this one over here is a ramp, that one over there has an escape door. Just believe me, it will save a lot of hassle by doing that small little step. Amber turn signal. We like to put these on our bigger trailers, 8 foot wide. It works as a brake indicator. It works as a actual turn signal as well. So if you turn on right, it'll flash, same with left. But it also works as a great marker light on these bigger trailers. And you have to think, as people, these are longer trailers, turn signal's way up there. If they're just past the back of the trailer, they understand you're trying to get over. We like, again, to go on. It's a real simple option that we like to add on. Then we have spread axle. So spread axle air ride, we haven't talked about that. So spread axle, the benefits there is you have better weight distribution because we've spread these axles. We'll take more tongue weight off. It's going to pull more like a triple. And then you have air ride suspension. So air ride suspension, go talk to anybody pulling one of these newer air ride trailers, and I would bet you that the most common response you're going to get, and what we hear is, I'll never own another one without air ride. They love the way they pull. They love the way the animals come off the trailer. These calves will lay down like they're in the barn. So as we go on long trips, they'll step off the trailer a lot fresher. They're not getting all that road just jolting to their joints themselves. Believe me, they're fresher coming off. You don't need as much maybe recovery time when you're going on long distance trips where you need that extra day on the road just to get there and have them recover. If you can cut that day off with the calves stepping off the trailer fresh, that's less time of you away from home, away from work, the added expense of being on the road an extra day. So yes, it is an upgrade, But by the time you put calves on this trailer, think about the money you're putting on there, the investment you've made, the time you're spending. Let's give them the best opportunity to compete at the highest level. And this Aire ride will do that. It is a game changer. Electric brakes on this, Alcoa wheels. So you've got the nice Alcoa rims, Continental 18-ply tires, so really heavy duty running gear underneath here. These are 2 8Ks with the spread. Once we start getting into the bigger trailers, we're going to want to up the axle size. The reason why we like this size for inventory is you get into the larger 9 and 10K axles and the price really jumps up on them, but also you have more wheel well on the inside of the trailer. So it'll go from 9-inch wheel well on each side to 13 inches. So we lose that on each side of the trailer. So you go from 9 to 13 on each side, so it makes that middle section, wherever those wheel wells are, substantially smaller. So 2 8Ks, and again, it's a real simple system to use. We've done some actual videos on how it operates and how you shut it down, just kind of in some condensed videos that we can send to you if you want to see how that works. Then as we get to the back, you've got your gate with a slider. I'll get that shut up for you here in a second, but I wanted to give you a good look at the back of this trailer as well. 2 8-inch awning lights up top, so you have some lights there. Another thing, kind of like those amber turn signals, is backup lights. So we've gone in and added a lot of backup lights to our inventory, and we really try to just not so much push it on our customers, but really highly recommend it, because our backup lights on our truck are a long ways away, so it's nice to have this on this. I almost said backup cameras. We can add a camera system to this. A lot of customers are doing that today. Maybe you want a backup, maybe you want some stalls. They come in, we can either do 2 cameras with a monitor, or we can do 4, and it's a portable monitor, so you can move it. We tap into the running lights to power them, and then you plug into your 12 volt, and then it talks to it, and you can, so if you have multiple tow vehicles, you can take that monitor between the two. But you can do a backup light, you do stall lights, keep an eye on calves. Back here, those light switches I was telling you about, we have additional ones on the inside. So as you can see, they're all on individuals, so we can manipulate them. And then you have a rear slider on this trailer as well. Over here on driver's side, I've got the fold down slats down, but I'll show you again how easy it is to open and close them. And I want you to be able to see that polished extrusion. On polished trailers, you do not acid wash them. You want to citrus wash these guys. They take a little bit more TLC. You can hand dry them. Some guys will like to just hop in the truck, jump on the interstate and do about 80, 85 and just kind of air dry it. So you do have that escape door going into that stall area, so it's really easy to hop in there if you need to. Fold up step, making that transition easy. And then we have the man door going into the tack room. I will always recommend having a man door going into this tack room when we have a side ramp, because if that side ramp gets shut, you can't get out of these tack rooms. So it's a safety measure, in my opinion, whether we do this man door or we do a pass-through door on the partition wall. I don't care. If I'm going to build you one, I want one of these on here, and that's how we order them for inventory for those reasons. Deadbolt combo lock as well. So if you don't necessarily want to lock this, and you can lock up the ramp, but if you need to send somebody to the trailer, maybe you got feed in here in the morning, maybe you got to go get something, maybe you got kids' clothes hanging in here for the show, somebody can just run over, punch in the code, and then get into the actual tack room itself, rather than having to actually find the keys. And then again, you've got a light on the inside, and then another fold up step, so it makes it nice and easy hopping in and out of this trailer. We'll just take a step back and you can really appreciate that polished extrusion, the black sheeting. It is a good looking trailer, especially with those Alcoas and the spread axle. So again, 30-foot Aire ride, Stierwalt. It is not missing much. We feel like customers really want these types of setups. So this is how we order them from inventory. So if you need one, more than likely have one here, we have one on order, or if you do have time, we can custom build as well. Let me give you the stock number on it. Again, it's a 2024 Cimarron Stierwalt Signature Series. Stock number is 5N210616. We do take trade-ins. So if you're looking to upgrade, maybe you need to downsize, maybe you're just completely making a change, going from a horse trailer, jumping into the show world, we can take those trades. Financing is available and also delivery, so we could potentially bring this to your doorstep. So give us a call. Anybody on our sales team can help you out. That number is 303-684-3400. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.